In my never-ending quest to find good realtor advice videos, I found another one that is very good. However, if you stop with the advice in this video and don't go any further, you run the risk of paying more for a house or losing one altogether. So we're going to run a little thought experiment to show you how it could have been so much better so you can have this information available when you're ready to buy a house or hire a realtor to help you. Or if you've already hired a realtor, how to make sure you're getting the best results possible. My name is Michael Hausum. I'm an active broker in Southern California. I first got into the business over 35 years ago. I'm also the founder of House Advantage, where I help home buyers and sellers to help them understand what an elite real estate transaction should look like so they can avoid disastrous and expensive mistakes.
Buying a home for the first time is extremely exciting, but it can be equally as nerve-wracking. There are so many questions that come up along the way that you didn't even know you had until you start this process. So in this video, I'm going to go step by step over the home buying process so that you can feel much more at ease and do things the right way the first time around. I'm Angie Blanco, a realtor here in Miami, Florida, and I'll be speaking from firsthand experience after having purchased multiple homes myself and also having helped so many other first-time homebuyers just like you achieve the same goal of homeownership.
So this is an agent in Florida, and the advice she gives homebuyers is so much better than you'd get from a majority of typical agents, and I totally love that. But she could have gone so much further, and this is what I want to point out. So here's the thought experiment we're going to run. Imagine you've watched her video and you've hired her. Now I'm going to point out the additional things that should be done to increase your chances of either getting a lower price or beating out a competitive buyer without just having to shell out more money. The things I'm going to share you here are going to help you be a better and more effective home buyer.
Step one, this is to know your budget. And by this, I don't mean how much money a bank will approve you for. I mean, how much can you realistically and comfortably afford on a housing payment each and every month in your current situation with your current income and your current bills. Whether it's $2,000 or $10,000, it's your personal number that you know you'll be able to pay.
So step one is just fine. It's incredibly important to understand how much you want to spend on a monthly basis. One thing though is on the budget, there's actually two pieces, right? You've got monthly payment affordability, part of the budget. The other part of it is how much money you want to put into the transaction. You have to figure out both of those parts.
Step two is to find a real estate agent. This is going to be one of the most important things you do during this entire process because as a first-time homebuyer, you simply don't know what you don't know. And the real estate agent is basically going to be your guide during this whole process and the entire transaction, all the way up to a successful closing.
When interviewing an agent, however you go about finding them, you want to quickly get them to explain to you why you should hire them. The whole point of the interview is to understand their case for hiring them. So go ahead and ask it right up front. Why should I hire you? A high-level agent should have a super quick and impactful answer to this question. You're looking for clear, specific things that directly address your primary concern, not things about them. You want to hear something like, I'm going to show you X number of unique strategies that are going to help you save Y dollars in buying a home, or something like that. Quite frankly, if an agent talks about themselves and their experience and all that stuff, whatever, that's fine. But they need to get to the results that they're going to get for you and why those results are better with them than you're going to get with anyone else. Nowhere in this video does she specifically explain why a buyer should choose her. Frankly, most agents don't have a good answer to a question like that. Or if they do, it's kind of just about them and not really focused on the client's outcome. And I get it. In this video, the whole presentation is kind of a general evergreen advice to buyers. She still could have identified that a statement like this is important to look for in an agent and then given her own version as an example. The reality is, if an agent cannot quickly answer this question and do so in a way that makes complete sense to you, about what they're going to do to get you what you need and want, you need to cut bait and end the meeting. You'll need to find a better agent.
Step 3 is getting pre-approved for a mortgage. Some people think that this step comes before finding an agent, but I would argue otherwise because, like I previously mentioned, your agent will basically be your guide throughout this entire process. And although it's completely up to you which bank or mortgage broker you decide to get pre-approved with and work with, your realtor 9 times out of 10 will have a close relationship with a mortgage broker or a lender that will help them and their client, which in this case would be you, much better and faster than if you were to just go to some random bank that doesn't already have a relationship with you.
Okay, step 3, this is an area where there are a handful of additional things that are needed that could have been a lot better. Firstly, she should have discussed the distinction between a fully underwritten conditional loan approval and a mere pre-approval. In my experience, not only do many agents not understand the difference, neither do most buyers. So explaining this is an important distinction. A typical pre-approval is the lender's opinion of the likelihood that you're going to get a loan approval in the future. I think that Tom and Sally will be fully qualified to get a loan of whatever, okay? It's talking about a future event. All of the lenders do this. But here's the problem. Every single experienced listing agent has a story about how a sale went totally sideways despite having a nice pre-approval letter because something unexpected came up. A fully underwritten conditional loan approval, on the other hand, isn't an opinion about the potential of a loan approval in the future, but it's when the underwriter, the person whose signature actually releases the funds, goes through all the pages of the big, thick loan file and renders an official opinion. So it's not talking about a future loan approval. It is a loan approval. Totally different things. A good agent is not only going to understand this, but they will understand how to use it as a tool with a potential listing agent so they can communicate all the work that you've done ahead of time, way before an offer is ever written. And what this is going to do is communicate certainty to a seller. You can basically say, look, you're not going to have to wonder if our loan is going to get approved or if there's a surprise lurking out there somewhere because the approval's already done. Most lenders don't offer these things, and many of them are even going to try to talk you out of needing one. If your lender or the lender that the agent refers you to doesn't offer a conditional loan approval, you absolutely need to find a new lender. This point here also in this discussion with her is where she should have brought up what I call buyer staging. It's a strategic and unique things that are done way in advance with the agent before you find the right home, and it's all about positioning you with the seller as their favorite potential buyer. Let me explain it like this. You know what home staging is, right? That's when a seller sets up the house to make it super attractive to a potential buyer in order to get them to pay more money for it, right? The idea of buyer staging completely flips that on its head. It sets you and your agent up to be super attractive to a seller and their agent in order to get them to be willing to take less for the house. In fact, this concept is so important, buyer staging. I did an entire video about it, and there's going to be a link here at the end of this one where you can watch that. And then the third and final aspect she misses here about the mortgage approval is how important it is to get as large of an approval number as possible. She does kind of mention that a buyer doesn't necessarily need to go way out to the end of what they could qualify for. And of course, that makes a ton of sense. But she misses a really strong point here. The bigger the difference between your budget number and your approval number, the better it is. The more financial strength that you can communicate to a listing agent or a seller, the more attractive you're going to be. You see, a listing agent and a seller, they're not just evaluating your offer in terms of the price and everything else, but they're also trying to think about potential problems and anticipate them. And that's how this strategy is going to help. For example, Just this week, I got a conditional loan approval for clients of mine, Jason and Amy. It had a purchase price number that was 50% higher than their own spending budget. Now that's a huge difference, but it's exactly what I wanted. This is going to allow me to present them to a potential seller as a dream buyer, and that's also going to give me increased negotiating leverage. Now, the best version of this is several years ago. It was the ultimate. I had buyers that were hunting for homes that were looking at 1/4 the amount they could actually afford, right? They were super conservative. So when we presented the offer to the seller, the listing agent noted the approval that we had for them and the purchase price, and they said, wait a second, these guys could buy 4 of these houses. And I said, yeah, they could, which is why your client is the luckiest seller in the entire county right now. Sign this offer. And they did.
Step 4 is to find the right house. This is where we start to shop for your ideal home. But what does that look like for you?
So step 4 here is where she discusses finding the right house. All of the advice is solid, but again, she doesn't go far enough. There should be a part of your agent's homebuyer program that is a system to help you look at your market niche, the specific range and areas that you're looking at as a market in and of itself. And that should be steps that you guys take together as a team to read and understand, kind of bird's eye view of the broader market beyond just trying to find you the right house. Is the market you're looking at a hot one? Is it a cold market? Is it a seller's market? Is it a buyer's market? And this is going to help you understand the playing field that your kind of target house is in beyond just checking the comps when you're filling out the paperwork and putting in the price. You should be equipped to determine if that house is priced high or low or correctly or incorrectly, how it compares in the marketplace and what the marketplace is doing. There's so much money on the table. The better educated you are, the wiser you're going to be when evaluating the price of the house that you really like and to figure out what you really would want to pay for it. Now, it's not that you need the agent to help you read the market like a full-on professional or something, but there should be some perspective and understanding beyond just, hey, I can help you find a house that you'll like and then help you write an offer on it.
Step 5 would be make an offer and negotiate. So once you found the one, and trust me, you will know when you see it, your realtor will help you prepare a competitive offer to give you the best chance of getting it accepted. We'll look at various things like recent closed sales in the area, which will tell us if their asking price is fair and if we should consider offering that or something different. We'll also look at how long the property's been sitting on the market for. The longer it's been, typically the more motivated the seller is to possibly sell at a lower price. And we'll look at the activity on the home, like if there's been a lot of showings or interest or even multiple offers on it. These are all great ways to determine what a fair and competitive offer would be, which your realtor would do for you. And included in the offer,
again, step 5, lots of areas for improvement. A competitive offer is great, but with a little bit of extra insight and knowledge, you can elevate that to a superior offer that's going to put you on a completely different level than the average agent is going to bring. Again, I did an entire video on the importance of an exercise that I call practicing the contract. I'll link that for you here in the end. It's where you're going through all of the offer paperwork ahead of time to understand what the standard and the normal practices are in your marketplace so that you can identify the unique things that you can do that are different and superior. Purchase offers nowadays, all those pages, there's a bunch of moving parts. And they could all be adjusted in different ways that can make a big difference. All of that without changing the offer price. For example, in my marketplace here in Orange County, most of the offers have a loan contingency, a period of time that a buyer has to get their loan approved after the contract is signed, right? It's a great benefit for a buyer, but it's also a risk for a seller. What if things go sideways? If you've done all your homework ahead of time, and you got the conditional loan approval that I mentioned earlier, you don't need that extra step. You can remove that contingency wording altogether because you don't need it. That's powerful and effective positioning. She doesn't even hint at that here. Now, as she closes out steps 6 and 7, great advice, perfectly fine as is. Now, back to our little thought experiment. If you had followed my advice and added these additional thoughts and ideas, your awareness would be higher, your positioning would be better than what she was bringing to the table. These are things that very few agents even know, let alone use in their business. And this is putting you in a position to get a better price, to be more attractive to a seller, and to outcompete another buyer without just throwing more money on the table. Now, if you'd like more help with this, I do a free workshop every single month. And then going into more detail on some of the things I talk about here, then there's a live Q&A at the end of it to answer your real world questions. There's a link here at the end directly to the info page about that, so you could learn more. And then as I mentioned earlier, the next 2 videos coming up, buyer staging and practicing the contract, you definitely want to understand these things as well and use them in your home search.